fees for it. I usually turn the.
That probably didn't take long either. Get money for them to pay that back.
Yeah, guys, if you need to turn the fans on to move the air,
I'm sure it's
so
probably.
Yes.
Yeah,
My scooter.
that's just awful.
I know the people who walked and rode bikes here are like sweating their brains out.
It's so humid.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's so humid outside. It's so humid, you can see the
You get to
humidity.
get your nose.
But the dehumidifier's just working, it's already brought it down to 5% over what it was, so it takes a little time, but I've been here like an hour, so it's starting to work to get a little better.
Oh, it's okay.
So, get comfortable. I see nobody has on a mask today. I was thinking about putting one on because I'm the one talking, and now, you're hearing all this talk about
Yes.
New York and New Jersey, and, so as long as you guys are comfortable with me not wearing one, I might go ahead and leave it off, and then I guess we'll just kind of see how things go. And I'll promise not to, send germs out.
I think we're doing okay here. I still haven't had any COVID patients in quite a while.
Still nobody in the
Yeah.
lab? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I'm waiting for it to happen.
I know.
Because my daughter had it last week and a radiologist got it last,
Yeah.
not here.
Okay, well, get comfortable whether you're on the floor or sitting in a chair. So if you're on the floor, you're welcome to stretch your legs out if you'd rather than be cross-legged. You can stretch your legs, and you can sit up on blankets. And in your chair, just make sure your feet are hips distance apart and parallel. Let your toes face forward so you're not, already putting stress on your knees or your hips that way. So, and then just close your eyes and let yourself enjoy lengthening up through the top of your head. Let your shoulders fairly release down away from your ears. Feel your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Come on in, Helen. We'll make a place. Can you be up here by me? So just let yourself feel your breath easily coming in and going out. Think about how the breath feels coming in through your nose and going out through your nose. So that you can appreciate imagining the breath coming equally in and out through both sides of your nose. About right here. Okay. Just start to let yourself move a little bit with your breath. So when you exhale, you come a little forward with a long back, and when you inhale, you come back. It might mean you only move an inch, right? That you just come forward a little bit and then come back up when you inhale. And you may decide that it feels really good to go farther forward, but think about keeping your back like one piece. So you're not breaking at the waist here and rounding forward in your upper back. You're keeping it nice and long. And if you're in a creaky chair like me, you may want to reposition yourself. But just ease your way forward and back with your breath. Let it feel really good to feel that sense of moving with your breath very easily. It's also very calming. And the next time that you come back to sitting up nice and tall, let yourself stay there. Release your arms on out beside you here now. So if you're on the floor, your fingertips can lightly touch the ground. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline to meet in front of our chests. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open our arms on back out and down. And now just let your arms come forward. We'll make one big circle with our arms. Let them come up as far as your shoulders let you overhead. Try to reach a little behind yourself as they come on down. And then we'll just reverse. Reach back first. And then up and over the top. And let your arms release on back down beside you here now. Take a nice inhale when your arms are down. And as you exhale, twist to your right, bring yourself on around. You can let your left hand rest on your right knee if you want. You can have that hand more at the midline. So if you're on the floor, you don't wanna go that deep into the twist, and you wanna put your hand instead at the middle, do. Just enjoy. Feel your feet on the floor, whatever part of your feet are touching. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel that twist in the middle of your back, waking up your spine a little bit. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and all the way around into the other direction. So again, just enjoying that twist in the middle of the back. Letting yourself feel your chin about parallel to the floor. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, come on back around into center again. And let's bring our arms straight out from our shoulders. You can soften your elbows a little bit and let your hands circle. So it doesn't matter whether they circle one way or the other. Just keep going in one direction for a couple more circles. And then stop and reverse those circles. Let them come the other way. So you feel your hands, your wrists. You're also feeling your arms, of course, just from them being out there. And then come back and flex your hands so you press out now into the heels of the hands. You feel the bottoms of your arms a lot. And then let your fingertips face down so you feel more of the tops of your arms. And then let your hands release on down beside you. And lift them up a little bit, shake them out. If you're on the floor with your legs crossed, switch the cross of your legs so you bring the other leg in front. So you even your hips out. And if you're not, that's fine. You just get comfortable with your legs. And then we're gonna come forward and back again with our breath. So if you have a different leg in front, it's usually the front leg hip that gets the most. So you'll even yourself out a little bit, exhaling as you come forward and inhaling as you come back up. So be mindful again of feeling like your breath is moving you forward and back. Feel that ease of keeping a long spine. Rise back up, so the next time you come back up to sitting, let yourself stay there. Go ahead and release your arms out beside you again, and let's tilt our head to the right. Let your right ear come a little more towards your right shoulder. And then take your left hand and let your fingertips trail up by your ribs here, by the front of your shoulder, by your ear, and come into a side stretch. So on the floor, you might want to let your right hand come out a little further, give you some support. And in your chair, you can let that arm hang. You can put your hand in your lap if you want. Whatever feels good. Hold your chair if you want to. One more breath here into the side body. And then we're going to rise on back up, lower that arm on down, and we're going to tilt our head the other way. So your left ear towards your left shoulder. Let the side of the neck stretch for a second. And then again, trail your right hand up by your ribs and by the front of your shoulder and your ear. And reach up into that long side stretch. Let that left hand do whatever you want. Hold your chair, put your hand on the floor or in your lap. Breathe into that side. One more breath. And then we're going to rise all the way back up and lower our arms on down. And we're going to come forward. Now, if you're in your chair, you might want to separate your feet farther for this seated forward bend. You might even want to rest your elbows above your knees. And if you're on the floor, you can go forward however you want to do your legs, right? You can be cross-legged or long stretched legs out if that's better for you. And you can go farther forward or down more with your hands if you're in your chair and you want to put your hands down towards the floor. Or again, just pay attention to your back. Let your elbows give you support. Let your hands give you support if you're on the floor and that feels good. Coming forward from your low back, letting yourself release into your breath. And if you can't let your head hang, do, as long as it doesn't put too much pressure into your low back. Good, one more breath. We're gonna take it easy as we start to rise up. You can bring your hands wherever you need to help you come on all the way back up, right? And then we're gonna adjust however you need, because we're making our way around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you don't wanna be on your knees on the floor, don't be. You can use your chair. You can actually use your chair like it's the floor, right? And you can be on your feet instead of down on your hands and knees, so that you can move through your cat-cow without any kind of issues of being down on your knees on the floor. And you can also come to fist. If your hands bother you, your wrists give you some issues, you can bring yourself to fist or hold the edge of the seat of your chair if you want to, if you're in the chair. And then just look down between your hands, let your spine kind of find neutral, so you're not really drawing into cat or cow, right? So just reaching back a little bit through your tailbone. Take a nice inhale. And when you exhale, draw your leg towards your spine. Feel your tailbone drop down towards the ground, rounding up into your back. And when you inhale, send your tailbone back and up and move your way back through to either that neutral spine, or maybe you're gonna let your belly and your ribs sink and come into cow pose, right? So the exhales, draw the tailbone down, the navel towards the spine, rounding into your back. And the inhales, send the tailbone back and up, and you move back through either to neutral or into cow pose. So just let yourself flow through your back. Imagine that it's really natural and easy, right, to feel this movement through the spine because of the way your spine is built. You can enjoy flowing through the back, waking up the spine. Think about even waking up the muscles alongside of the spine, and it's just really fun to imagine a healthy spine too. Lots of spaces between the vertebrae. Finish off the one you're on and come back to a more neutral spine where you're looking down there again between your hands. And we're gonna step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into lunge. So you can use your blocks for your hands, you can use your chair, you can let yourself come down lower to the floor if you choose to. So take your time, let yourself enjoy finding that nice sense of coming into the back of that right leg. So you want to enjoy finding that sense of the back of your leg there, getting a nice stretch. And we're going to switch legs from there. So however you decide you want to go to the other side, bringing your right foot forward and your left foot back too. Let your shoulders come down away from your ears. Good, now feeling that nice ease of opening up in the back of that left leg. Good. Now we're going to switch our legs out again. So coming forward with the left foot and back with the right. And remember, you want to make sure that front knee, that left knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. You don't want to put a lot of pressure into your knee. So if you kind of stack the knee up over the ankle, you can take as long of a stance as you want or as short of a stance as you want. Good. We're going to switch legs again. Once you come into the lunge this time, again, just draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Let yourself enjoy feeling the back of that leg and be mindful of that front knee. Good. From here, we're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend with our feet hips distance apart and parallel. And be really mindful of your own back. You know, you may not want to go very far forward. You may want to put blocks in the seat of your chair and be up higher. Or you might want to let your forearms come down to the seat of the chair. Some of you I know like to bring your hands down towards the floor or the blocks. But just really pay attention to how your back feels today. You know, maybe you've been gardening this weekend and it feels a little tight. I know a lot of you like to do that. So don't push it. Just give your body time coming into the forward bend and letting the pose do the work for you. You're just going to watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Just being mindful of feeling how your ribs expand outward when you breathe in. And they kind of come back into normal when you breathe out. Good. So one more breath here in your standing forward bend. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chest, coming into mountain pose. So if you need to look at your feet, make sure you don't have one kind of, cockeyed, turned out a little bit, or, maybe you have one foot farther forward. That's pretty common to let one foot be a little farther forward than the other. So just take your time, try to get as even out as you can. And then bring your hands back to come into together in front of your chest. Spread your fingers out a little bit, feel your thumbs coming in towards your chest. And then just enjoy, as your feet are even into the floor, enjoy coming into that sense of whether your eyes are open or closed. Looking out like you're looking out towards the horizon. If you were outside in an empty field, really flat land, you can look right on out. And then that importance of getting your pelvis aligned, your tailbone's dropping down towards between your heels. So you don't want to tuck your tailbone up under you, which throws the whole spine off. But you feel like the tailbone is reaching down towards the back of your heels a little bit. And then it's like you can stay here forever. Once you get aligned in mountain pose, it's so easy. You're stacked up, hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. And as we release our arms now, right on down beside us and unfold them here, we're going to inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, we'll bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Let yourself lengthen out. And we'll step our right foot back from here and come into lunge. Drawing our shoulders down away from our ears. Good. And inhale. Exhale into a downward facing dog pose. So I'm having my hands in the chair for down dog, letting them be towards the outside of the seat on each side, and reaching back through my tailbone so that I find a nice long back. And you can bend your knees for your down dog. You can walk if it feels better to adjust your way to let one knee at a time bend in dog and open up the backs of the legs a little bit one at a time. You can. You can use blocks for your dog. You can use the chair. You can use the floor. And then we'll come on back to our full downward facing dog pose. Feel your elbows just hugging in like you're holding a beach ball between your elbows. And then come on out like you're coming into a plank pose. And you don't have to go all the way into a push-up pose. You can come down to your forearms and do a forearm plank. You can come out and put your knees down and do a half plank. Or you don't have to go all the way at all. So take your time. If you like to do push-ups, you can bend your elbows a little bit. Let yourself do a little bit of work with your arms and then do your shoulders. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Reaching back through both sitting bones equally so you feel equally long through the sides of your body. And we will bring our right foot forward. Come into lunge from here. And you can get there however you want. So you can put a knee or knees down. Let yourself find that lunge and draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Good. And then we'll step back into our standing forward bend with our feet right underneath us. Again, use what support you need. If you'd like to put blocks in your chair so you're up higher, do. If you want to bring your hands down more towards blocks or hanging down towards the floor. So it's really just the torso coming forward here, allowing the backs of the legs to just gradually open up a little more. And that can happen whether your knees are bent or straight, right? You don't need to come into straight legs to get benefit in this pose. And you don't need to be all the way forward. You can be supported. And one more breath here. And we will let our hands come up to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down to be in front of our hearts. And let's sit back like we're coming into a little chair. It doesn't have to be a low chair or be high. Your torso comes forward a little bit. Feel your feet in the floor. Kind of press down into your feet like you're pushing the floor away from you. You might even go a little lower if you want, shifting your weight a little more to your heels. One more breath. And then keep pressing into your feet. Rise on up and inhale the hands all the way up to the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings and come forward into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice flat long back. We're going to step our left foot this time back into lunge. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Let yourself really enjoy feeling your whole body in your lunge. And we will come into downward facing dog pose again, so you know you're down dog, it's your choice. The shoulders kind of dictate whether you need your hands up higher or down lower. Let yourself be easy and mindful about trying to find that tailbone reaching back so you have length and space in your spine. Nice, we're gonna come on out towards a plank. Be easy as you come out again, you don't have to do a full plank, you can stay in plank and feel a lot of core strength going on there. You can bend your elbows if you want to. Let yourself be mindful of coming into that plank where you're able to be. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And this time the left foot will come forward to come into that lunge. So you can put both knees down, or you can put your right knee down and then step that left foot forward. Whatever you need to do to get back into lunge. And again, think about your whole body in the lunge. Think about the length of your spine. We'll step forward from here and come on into our standing forward again. So again, be really mindful. I know a lot of you like to bring your hands to your elbows and let your torso just hang there. And a lot of us need to use support. Elbows above the knees or using the chair or the blocks. Think about your face for a second. Let your face relax. Imagine you're releasing all around your eyes and your mouth. And the jaw is a particular one that sometimes we don't even realize we're holding tension. So, you know, if you need to yawn a little bit or let your teeth separate a little bit so you feel this sense of really letting go through your jaw. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands back up to our hips, press into our feet, and come on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down to be in front of our hearts. And from here, let's release our arms beside us again and inhale them all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward from our hips again into standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long, flat tabletop back. And we're going to walk into downward facing dog pose from here. Your hands go to whatever surface you like, whether it's the floor, the blocks, or the chair. And you walk back into your down dog. And on the next inhale, we come on out towards our plank. So, you know, from here, it's up to you. If you like to add a back bend right here, you can. You can come down to the floor, come into Sphinx or a Cobra. You can come through a little bit with your chest and do like an up dog if you want to. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So those back bends are totally optional. Walk if you want a little bit, wag your tail. If it feels good to move in down dog, let yourself move. Head turning side to side sometimes feels really good in the neck. Good, and then we're gonna do the same thing. Come on out to plank, and again, moving into your back bend of choice if you choose to do one, or staying in your plank, whatever works for you. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our left foot forward this time to come into lunge. That front knee again is no further forward than your ankle. And then we'll come on back again into standing forward bend. And again, be just mindful when it feels really good to you. Take your time, feel the weight of your head. Let yourself be easy through your face again. And now focus on the breath, expanding the ribs as you inhale. Feeling those full, deep breaths. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips. Press into our feet as we rise on up. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose again. If you need to adjust, again, if you need to kind of walk a little bit in place or get things all straightened out there, do. And then bringing your gaze on forward and letting yourself enjoy. Feeling your breath coming in and going out. Feeling that sense of being stacked up, aligned. Nice. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms. Shake everything out a little bit. Walk around if you need to. And you know in here, if you need water, get water and drink water, all right? There's little waters out in the front. There's two baskets of them, so make sure if you need water that you have it. Yeah, I know. And I actually forgot mine, so I'm gonna go get water too. And then you all are gonna set yourself up. Turn your chair around if you're using your chair so you have the back of it facing you. Yeah, grab a couple of you guys. So, kind of funny. We don't have to work very hard to build up a sweat when it gets warmer, do we? So, we're gonna come into warrior two first. We'll step our left foot forward and our right foot back. And come into aligning your heels if you can, so that if you were to draw a line forward from your right heel to your left, there's a line there. And then get yourself set with that front knee bent, no farther forward than your ankle over the center of your foot. And this back leg is attempting to stay fairly straight. And then just rise your arms on up and out, straight out from your shoulders. Let your shoulders melt down. Get your hands maybe a tiny bit higher, and then let your shoulders feel like they're melting down even more. And bring your gaze down. You can move the hands to where you can look right out over the top of that left hand, and you feel really easy to do it. Nice and strong, looking out over the top of your hand. Enjoy your feet equaling the floor, and kind of imagine that you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. When you press them away from each other, you really feel your hips there. And then bring your right hand onto your right hip. We're going to straighten our left leg out, and we're bringing our left hand down for triangle. So you may want to just put it on the back of your chair and lean slightly out over that leg. Or you may want to slide your hand down your left leg a little ways, maybe to your shin, maybe right below your knee, or onto a block or the chair, right? Draw your right shoulder up, and if you can, add your right arm straight up from your shoulder. Triangle pose, thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Engaging up with your legs there, so you're pressing your feet still away from each other like you're lengthening your mat with your feet. Good. And then we're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come right back into warrior two. Pressing those feet away from each other gets us right back into that strength of the pose there. And then let your hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel where we face the long edge of our mat here. You may want to grab your blocks. We're going to come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend where your feet are at least a little wider than your shoulders. Even more wide if you want, right? They can be 3 feet apart or 2 feet or 4 feet, right? And your feet are fairly parallel. And then bend both of your knees for a second. Really feel like you're coming into that squat where you're reaching back through your tailbone. You can lengthen out through the spine there. And then see if it's okay to bend one knee at a time. So let your right knee bend, your left leg go straight. Bless you. And then just switch to the other side. So, you know, if those don't feel good on your knees, don't do them. You know, you can find a little bit more in your inner thighs if you let yourself do that, just bending one knee at a time. And then when you're ready, come on back into center there. And let yourself come forward with your hands so your back is like a tabletop. You're flat. So that doesn't mean you have to go down, you know, be up on a block. You can be, or you can be on the floor. And then from there, let your right hand just come on up to your right hip and roll your shoulder up. See if you can just put the flat of your palm down onto that flat part of your back, your sacrum right there, really low. And you're staying very level. And then come on back with your hand down. We're going to switch to the other side. So left hand goes up. If you can put your flat of your palm down onto your sacrum, do roll that shoulder up. Find that twist in the middle of your back. Good. And then release and come on back down. And now take your time to stay in this pose for a few breaths. You might want to use support. You might want to bend your knees, put your elbows above your knees, and let yourself stay there. Or you might want to use blocks. Stack them up, put them underneath your forearms so that you have support and you can be as high as you want to be, right? And do see if you can let your head hang. Watch your breath now, coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling that same sense of releasing through your face that we talked about earlier. Just let yourself enjoy feeling the breath all the way in and all the way out. So you really can feel the breath as it comes in to the end of the inhale and then follow it all the way through to the end of your exhale. One more breath here. And take your time. When you start to come up to standing, you might be a little bit dizzy, so if you need to make your feet move a little bit closer together before you come up, do. And if you're dizzy and you need to hold on to your chair, hold on to your chair if you need to. And then we'll walk our feet together and move around a little bit before we do the other side. So we are gonna come to the other side. With our right foot forward and our left foot back. So again, it's allowing yourself to feel like you're lining up your heels, which opens your hips a little bit more than having that foot more in line with your toes, right? So you can kind of feel a difference. And when you bend that right knee, take your time. Let it feel really good as you come into feeling even between your legs with the front knee bent and the back leg straight. And then we'll float our arms on up and out. Again, if you can get your hands a little bit higher and soften your shoulders down, do. And when you feel like you want to look right out over the top of that right hand, you kind of let your arms go to the right height. They just automatically want to go there, really. Because when you look out over the top of that hand, maybe even right out over your middle finger, you're very focused. You feel very easy in your neck, though. So make sure you're not, tensing up, lifting your chin up, or tucking your chin down. Good. We're going to put our left hand down on our left hip and straighten our right leg out and bring our right hand down for triangle. So again, you might want to stay up high, keeping your hand on the back of the chair. It's not about how low you go. It's about letting your torso extend out over that leg, that right leg. And your left arm can come up if you want to, but that's not necessary. If your shoulder feels better to keep your hand down on your hip, you can keep your hand down on your hip. You're still lengthening out through your spine. And your thighs are lifting up towards your hips. A lot of strength here in the legs here in this pose. So one more breath. And then we're gonna bend the right knee. We're gonna press back up into our warrior two, pressing the feet away from each other. Get you right back into that core strength. And then we'll bring our hands on down. We're gonna turn our feet more parallel again. And again, you might wanna grab your blocks, bringing yourself on forward. So if you feel better to be up on blocks, have them right out there in front of you. And then again, if you're able to bend a knee at a time, let yourself do that. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Just keep your legs even without doing that, because sometimes it bothers people's knees. And then come on back, and so your legs are even, whether your knees are bent or straight, you're trying to let them be equally bent or equally straight. And then walk your hands over towards your right. Now you might want to just walk your blocks over and be out in front of your foot, or you might want to walk over towards your foot and get closer with your torso towards your right leg. That is up to you. Once you get to where you want to be, stay there for a breath. Let yourself enjoy feeling what's happening in your legs and your hips. And then we'll come on back, walk our way back to center. And again, if you're on your blocks, you can just use them like extensions of your hands. And you can just walk over and be more in front of your foot if you want. Or you can walk over and hold on to your foot if you choose to. And then just stay here to let your body adjust. Good. And then we're going to come back into center again. Again, we're going to stay here for a few breaths, so you do want to be really comfortable. And if you want to try something different than you did when we were doing the other side, you can do that. I mean, maybe you feel like, I want to put my hands down towards the floor, and I feel fine to do that. Or I need support underneath my hands or my forearms in front of me. And again, once you get kind of where you're able to stay here and you don't feel so stressed that you can't release in your upper body. You really want to be able to let go in the upper body. And then watch your breath all the way in and out. And see if you can let your inhales and exhales get closer to the same length.
So when you breathe in, you can count, doesn't matter whether you count to 3 or 4 or 5, depends on how fast you count, of course, too. And then see if you can reach that same count when you breathe out. So your exhales and inhales become closer to the same length. Now from here, again, as you start to make yourself ready to rise up, you decide what you need to do. If you need to change your feet a little bit before you come up, and if you're dizzy, making sure that you hold on to something so you're okay, and then walk around a little bit again if you can. Move through your feet and your ankles. And then this time, we're gonna let our chair, you can keep your chair turned that way. We're gonna come into warrior one. So if you have the chair there and you wanna put your hands on it, you can, so that when you step your right foot back, your hands stay there. Warrior one is the front facing warrior. So you're not opening like we did in warrior two. And you're letting your toes kind of be a little bit on a diagonal line back here. So your foot's turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees, that back foot, but it's on the floor fully. And when you bend your left knee, you can look down and make sure that knee is not going out beyond your toes, which is too much pressure on the knees. And then as you bring your hands to your heart and you bring your gaze forward, there you are in your warrior one. I used to find this pose really hard and uncomfortable, and now I just love it. So if you find that you change your mind about poses when you practice yoga for a while, it's okay. It's just kind of the way it goes, right? And see if you can, as you release your arms on down beside you, as you inhale them out and up overhead, feel what happens in your belly when the arms come up to a wide V. Let your pinkies turn towards each other. If you need to hold on to a chair, you don't have to add the arms. Let your gaze come up a little bit if you're able to. Feel how your belly responds to that. Your belly is lifted. Your tailbone's reaching back, though, on a diagonal line. You're not tucking your tailbone up forward underneath you. It's a natural alignment of the spine here. One more breath. And then we're going to release our arms on down, and we're going to straighten the left leg out. And start to come forward. Now you've got your chair there. If you want to put your hands in pyramid on the back of your chair, you can. You can go down to the seat of your chair or down to your blocks, right? Your blocks can be underneath your hands if you'd rather, or you can use your hands down on any surface, the height of the chair that you want to be, right? And then take your time. Now both feet are still on the floor, both legs are straight. You're getting into the backs of your legs in pyramid pose. You want to imagine you're lifting your thighs up so that you're creating space in your knees. And you're really long in your spine here. You're not trying not to be rounded up. So now that's kind of hard sometimes. As we get older, often it's really, really amazing how the spine wants to go into this curve. See if you can let yourself flatten it out as best you can, like you're a tabletop. Now some of you I know like to bend your elbows or let yourself come forward bow forward over your leg, right? If that feels good, you can do it, but don't do it if it's too much, right? Let yourself be where you can. Good. One more breath here. And then come back up so you're more parallel to the floor. We're going to bend the front knee, and now we're going to come back to that lunge where we release our right heel directly behind our foot. And keeping your right hand now grounded, bring your left hand up to your left hip and roll that shoulder up. Come into a twist in your lunge. So your hand can be flat like we did when we were in that wide angle and into your twist there. Or you can, if you feel good to reach your arm up, you can reach your arm up. Think about your head being a part of your spine though. So sometimes the tendency is to drop the head down or to even tense it up, lift it up. Think about it just being an extension of your spine. So you feel really long in your spine, all the way out through the top of your head. And then we're gonna bring our left hand down. We're gonna step forward and get our feet right underneath this. Let yourself be mindful there. Really come into that standing forward bend, however you need the support. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And then just Bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips. We're gonna rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. Now as we exhale, let's lower our right arm down. Reach up through the left side of the body and come on over into a little side stretch. Breathing into the left side here. And you can just let your right arm hang. Like see if you can just feel the weight of that right arm there. One more breath. And then we're gonna come on up. We're gonna lower that left arm down and rise the right arm up. And then again, as you come over, it doesn't have to be very far, right? Let the breath come into this right side of the body so you feel the ribs expand. Feel the hanging weight of your left arm there. And feel as you inhale how the ribs separate a little bit. And then we're gonna rise on back up and lower our arms on down. Good. Let your arms swing around a little bit. We're gonna do the other side. So we're coming into warrior one with the left foot stepping back this time. So again, you can keep your hands on the chair if that helps you to stay, even to keep your hands the whole time. You can put your foot like really close to under your chair and let yourself come up like this so that if you need the chair, it's there, right? Or you can let yourself, if you don't have a chair at all, just make sure you get your shoulders around square, bring your hands to your heart. Again, use support if you need. Use the chair if you need it. And then we'll release our arms. And we're gonna inhale them up into that wide V. Palms face each other. Really feel energy all the way out through the tips of your fingers. Turn your pinkies a little towards each other. And if you can look up, that makes a lift happen more in the belly. But the lift really, you're not putting compression in your low back. It's like you're lifting up at the base of your shoulder blades. Like if you had a bar right across the base of your shoulder blade and you're lifting up and over that bar. So inhale up the front of your body and exhale down the back of your body. And as we release our arms on down beside us, we're going to straighten that front leg out. Now as you start to come forward, you can put your hands down as soon as you want. And when you get your hands down, sometimes it feels better to adjust the stance of your pyramid pose. You might want to make it longer or shorter, right? You might want to make it wider. And you can come as far forward as you choose. You can go down as low as you want with your hands. Feel those thighs still lifting up towards the hips like you're creating space in your knees. And again, you're welcome to come forward over that leg if that feels good. You can bow over your leg or you can let yourself stay with that long, flat back. But remember, if you know you have a tendency to round up into your back, make a real effort to come into a flatter back, right? Nice. So just enjoy the backs of the legs. One more breath here. Good. And then we're going to bend the front knee and we're going to come into lunge again. So now you've got to adjust to send that left heel directly behind your foot. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. And then when you're ready to bring your left hand up, if you feel like you need to adjust your stance, do it and come on into that twist, either keeping your hand down on your low back or bringing the arm on up. So you're twisting towards your bent leg. So bringing your right hand to your right hip and twisting that way. There you go. It's a lot easier too.
You said left.
I did, that's fine. Oh, don't pay any attention to my words. And then we're gonna come on back in. Yeah, well, that's not good. Thank you, Robin. And then come on forward. Get your feet right underneath you. And take your time. Let yourself come into that easy forward bend there for a couple of breaths. And then we're gonna rise on up to standing. Inhale your arms all the way out and up overhead. And as you exhale and your hands come down, think about the top of the head getting higher up towards the ceiling. Just enjoy. Let yourself shift around if you need to. You can always sway. If you come into mountain pose and you feel like you need to sway side to side or back and forth, do. So that it feels good. And then let yourself go ahead and release your arms on down. Shake out just a little bit. And now, we're either gonna need our blocks, or you're gonna turn your chair around now to where the seat of the chair is facing your mat. And we're gonna come down and do a little warrior three work with our hands down, either on the blocks, the highest height, like this, or hands on the seat of the chair, right? There's just a little bit of difference there, so you can pick which one feels good. Let your feet come just a little closer together, okay? And now as your hands are down, bend both your knees a little bit so you're equal between your feet. And then lift your right foot up in the air. Both the knees are bent and they're side by side, okay? You're kind of, really, you gotta get that left supporting foot in the right place to where you feel good to be on it. And then stretch back into warrior three, where you're turning your toes down towards the floor. You're feeling very level in your hips. And now go back where you were. Bend both your knees, bring the right knee back in by the left. And then when you inhale, come back to that warrior three again. Look straight down between your hands if you can. And then one more time, exhale, bend both your knees. You can round into your back here, it feels pretty good. And then inhale and come back into that warrior three. Now, if you want to release the left arm forward or bring your left hand up to your heart, balance a little more, you can. That is totally up to you. If you're like, yeah, no way, I'm keeping both hands down. Be where you can. One more breath. And then we're going to lower that right foot down. Bend both your knees. Let yourself shift your weight to your heels a little bit so that you shift back and you can allow yourself, you can keep your hands on your blocks or your chair and let it feel like a release. And then come on back, so where you've got your hands under your under your shoulders again on the chair or the blocks. Bend both your knees, lift your left foot up. Knees are side by side. You've got to get that right supporting foot in a place where you feel comfortable. And sometimes you've got to finagle it a little bit. And now we're going to stretch it back into warrior three. Think of the left pinky toe facing the floor and your hips being level. Nice. And now go ahead and bend both the knees. Bring them side by side. And the next time you inhale, go back into that warrior three. And now as you exhale, bring the knee back in, round into your back if you can. And then as you inhale, come back into warrior three. And now if you want to release the right arm forward, you can. You can come into a little more balance. That is so not necessary. And if you know that's not a good idea for you, especially if you feel like you're going to fall over, don't do it. One more breath. And then let yourself release. Come on down. Separate your feet wider towards the outer edges of your mat. And then see if you can let your elbows reach back to support you right above your knees. That might be the much of the squat as you want to do. If you want to go lower into squat, you're more than welcome to, right? So, I mean, you know, if you like to turn your feet out a little bit and come down, let your heels come off the floor, and you're okay to do that in your knees and your hips, you can do that, right? Usually that's a more comfortable squat than keeping feet parallel, but you can squat any way you want, right? And some of you might even be fine to put your heels on the floor, right? And let yourself squat with your heels on the floor. And especially, again, it's usually a little easier to do that if you turn out your feet a bit. But it's how you feel good to stretch your low back and your hips. Good. And then from here, we're going to come back up with our hips. Bring our feet underneath us so that we're in our standing forward bend again. And then from here, we'll bend our knees, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And as we exhale and come into mountain pose, hands come down to be in front of our chest. Head is just floating up there on top of the spine. And you know, I love to do mountain with my eyes closed, but obviously, if you get dizzy at all, it's better to keep your eyes open and imagine you're really looking out towards the horizon. Appreciate feeling very balanced between your feet. And again, it's once you get aligned, it's so easy to be there. It's a feeling of just effortlessly being able to stand in your mountain pose, feeling grounded at the same time, feeling very light in the upper body. As we let our arms come on down, maybe you can just kind of imagine how you felt when you first did mountain in this class, and then later on, it really feels different after you've done some poses.
we're gonna come down to the floor. So, get your, strap handy, and then let yourself come on down to sit on the floor. And if you need to sit on a blanket, sit on a blanket. If you'd rather go back into your chair, you can sit in the chair instead of on the floor. Here, I got you one here. I'm gonna take this one. Yeah. So take your time, let yourself just sit comfortably, whether it's on a blanket with your legs in front of you or cross-legged. And then take these straps for just a second. And does anybody else need a strap? Did everybody else get one? And then see if you can kind of fold your strap about in half. I mean, just about. You don't have to be exact. Just so that you can hold the ends of the strap. And kind of be able to let your hands come out, and you won't know until you start to rise it up like this overhead, right? You may, when you get it up overhead, go, oh my gosh, I need to go wider. Or, oh my gosh, I can't even rise it up overhead at all. You might need to leave it here. Or you might go, whoa, I think I would feel better if my hands were closer together. So you kind of just play a little bit. You can go down and up, you can adjust, you know, just let yourself, and even if you're only going up a little bit and down a little bit, right? So you're finding movement in your shoulder. There is no right or wrong, right? Just make sure you do not bang yourself in the head with the metal end of the strap. So if you're able to stay up overhead with your arms too, and if that hurts you, don't do it, right? If you can hug your elbows a little bit towards each other, see the difference between here and there. If you hug your elbows forward a little bit, and then you lean over to your right, you can come into the side stretch there. And then you come up to the center and go just a little bit to the other side. It doesn't take far, right? And then come on back into the top here. And now, this is the part where you really want to be careful, right? So, take the strap into your right hand, so that you're at the end, one end of it, okay? And bring the hand up over your head a little bit, if you can. Okay, don't do this if you can. And then reach your left hand back and see if you can get the strap at the bottom back here. So you might have a lot of space between your hands, or you might go, there's no way in heck I'm doing this, all right? If you can do this one, all right, it means your shoulders are in pretty good shape. And if you want to come closer together with your hands, you can like let this top hand go down like that, and then let the strap slide through so you hold your hands closer together. So I'll show you on your back. So if you're up here, and you're here, and you can do this at home, remember, like if you have a towel, you can let yourself find shoulder exercises where you're able to use your shoulders and keep a little mobility in your shoulder. So if you want to do this, and bring your hands closer together on the strap, man, I mean, that's a lot, right? So don't do it. If you can barely do this, stay there for another breath. And then we're gonna come on down, and now this is the part where you really don't wanna do the metal end, so be really careful. So now take the strap in your other hand, your left hand, and bring it above your head. Right, this is the other arm, isn't it? Yeah, turned around, so now I'm really confused. And then put your hand behind you and hold it. And again, that might be it, right? Or you may decide, oh gosh, I wanna slide that hand down and I wanna get my hands closer together. This is the one when we're at the wall, remember? We do this with our elbow up the wall and put our hand here and put this hand here. But when you have the strap, you know, leading yourself to come closer towards your hands together, it's just kind of nice to have that. Good. And then let yourself, when you're ready, come down. I'm sure it doesn't take long to have enough of that. Let your shoulders release a little bit. And now keep your strap, take out your left leg right out in front of you and bring your strap across the ball of your left foot. Now, you may decide this leg, it could be any number of things that you need to do with this right leg. If you can let it bend and put it towards the inside of that left leg somewhere, if it hurts your knee at all or your hip, you can put a block under it. And maybe when you come forward just a little bit, it can get into the back of that leg without annoying this left hip, right? So it's up to you. You may feel like, oh, well, I'm fine. I like to come in like I'm doing tree pose way up in my inner thigh and come forward from there a little bit. The other thing is, if it feels better, remember how we moved a little forward and back with our breath at the beginning of class? If it feels better to you to let yourself inhale into that long spine and exhale, come forward, you can move a little bit forward and back rather than staying forward. Now, if you do get ready to stay forward, you might feel like, oh, I want to walk my hands down a little closer to my foot. Maybe not. Just be mindful, feel the back of the leg, feel that heel of your left foot on the floor and draw it back towards you a little bit and push into the strap with the ball of your foot. You're very, very engaged in that leg you're stretching. So it's not like it's there like a limp noodle, right? You're really engaging it as you stretch. One more breath here. And then as you slowly come on back up, all we're going to do is switch our legs. So it's kind of easy if you just put that right foot in it on the strap first. And then again, if it hurts at all, or feels even like tweaky to bring your leg up, try to use support underneath it. If it gets really bad and uncomfortable, just straighten that leg out, right? You don't want to add something that's not good for your knee or your hip, okay? So again, if you push into the strap and look at your foot, make sure you're not going to the outside of your foot or the inside. You know, you got a lot of movement in your ankle. So again, if you'd like to come forward and back a little bit, you can exhale your way forward and inhale your way back up if it feels good. But be mindful, if that doesn't feel good, you can go forward and just stay there the whole time. You can give your back of your leg time to open up. You might decide, well, that feels kind of good to try to get my hands closer to my foot. Easy, kind of let go through your face and your jaw again. And also sometimes the chin wants to lift up in this one and it kind of feels like it'll help you get farther forward, but instead, keep again that alignment of the back of the head in line with the spine if you can. Good. One more breath. As you easily come back up, take that strap on off, and we're done with it, so you can put it on off to the side, and let your feet circle around a little bit. You can even do little windshield wiper blades with your feet if that feels good to let your feet go. Good. And then from here, just bring your hands behind you, let your chest come forward. Imagine you're just drawing, there's a string attached right here to your sternum, and it's being drawn up and forward on a diagonal line. So that keeps you from dropping back and sinking into your chest, but instead opening across the front of the chest so that you can find, you know, certainly a different feeling than what we do a lot of our days, whether we're driving or gardening or on the computer or the phone. So one more breath here. Rise on back. We're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So, take your time, get yourself down, and come down however you feel good to come down on the floor on your back. Once you get down there, bring your right knee in towards your chest. You can either hold behind your thigh or you can hold your right shin. And then lengthen your left leg down long on the floor. And just enjoy. You know, what happens on the floor is your spine really naturally aligns itself. So if you feel the right leg pressing into your hands a little bit, so you're engaging a little bit by pushing that leg into your hands, your back's going to come back into its natural curves. That low back in particular, right? You can feel that not every part of your spine's on the floor right now. And then we're going to bring the left knee in towards our chest and extend our right leg down long. And again, press that leg into your hands. Let yourself, when you do that, feel what happens in your lower back. You've got that curve, so the low back comes into however much it comes off the floor. It depends on how deep your curve is. Good. And then bring both knees on in towards your chest.
Let your knees come side to side. You may even feel better to circle them. That really is up to what it feels like in your back. Maybe you want the knees side to side, maybe you want to circle. And then bring your feet up in the air and just kind of do an old-fashioned bicycle up there. Let your feet just bicycle a little bit. Slow motion, maybe, right? You can backpedal too if you want, right? Let the movement come back into the legs, let it feel good. And then bring your feet back down to the floor. We're gonna do a little bridge work pose, bringing our feet now a little wider than you did in your mountain pose. So just a little bit, but your feet are still parallel. And how far your heels are away from your buttocks before you start is up to you. And you won't know yet. If you don't really know, just get them where you feel comfortable. Bring your arms alongside you and bend your elbows to 90 degrees like you're a robot. Palms face each other. And then press down into the backs of your arms, which rises your chest up. Your whole back comes off the floor really, right? Still have your bottom down, but you're lifting up. And then just float your hips up a little higher off the floor. May not be high. Press your feet, feel your thighs engaging, press into your feet on the floor a little bit. If you want to roll your shoulders under more, you can. You can get your elbows closer together and let yourself come into bridge. And if it doesn't feel very good, come down and reposition where you have your feet when you start. So sometimes closer to you feels better, sometimes the feet a little farther out from your bottom before you start feels good. And you can go up there, you can stay. If you want to grab a block and go into supported bridge, you're more than welcome to do that. You can move up and down from that bridge pose if you like. So some people like to inhale, rise up, maybe stay a breath or two, maybe not, and exhale their way down. You're more than welcome to do bridge pose however you want. Supported on a block, lifting up and down, or if you're like done with it, you just come down when you're ready. So bridge pose, you don't want to feel a discomfort in your low back. You're going to feel your thighs, right? But you don't want to feel any sense of like the low back feeling uncomfortable. If you do, coming down and changing your feet a little bit helps, but also maybe just not going up as high. So take your time. And those of you who come here a lot know you can come down from bridge pose anytime you want to. And that you need to bring your knees in towards your chest when you do. Let yourself release, or maybe at least just feet on the floor. And if you are already down, see if you can let yourself have the feet on the floor and let your knees just come from side to side. And your feet can be as wide as you want for those little twists. You may want your feet fairly close together, or you may want to separate your feet towards the outer edges of your mat. It depends on you what feels good. So take your time. And if you're down from bridge and there's something else that sounds good to you to do, by all means do it. So if you need to let yourself in any way move when you come down, let yourself go into whatever feels good. You need to bring your knees in. If you need another kind of twist, you start to walk around. Shavasana, our final relaxation pose, which is really the most important part of class, give you time to benefit from all you just did. But if you're lying there uncomfortable, it's really probably not the best benefit. So, some people like support underneath their knees, also underneath the back of your head. I see one hand for a bolster here. I see another one. I see two more over here. I'll get feedback. So take your time. If you think a bolster underneath your knees sounds good. Yes, ma'am. Very good. jutting up a little bit when you lie on your back. Then a little fold. It doesn't take like a big, huge pillow underneath your head to let you find relief in the back of your neck. While I'm looking around, if I miss somebody and you need some support, let me know. Just let yourself now release into your breath, watching your breath as it comes in and goes out. So your breath is kind of like a wave. It's that wave-like motion of the breath. But it's going to change just like waves do. They're not always the same length. So see if you can watch your breath just like you would be watching waves if you were in the ocean. It'll be okay when it needs to change in length. And when your mind wanders and you find yourself off into thinking, softly come back again to that wave of your breath. Finding those little quiet spaces where your body and your
You need to bring your knees in towards your chest. Be mindful, take your time. You are welcome to roll to either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to come onto your side, you can stay there for a little bit if that feels good, and have your knees be soft, be in a fetal position on your side, which give your body and your brain a little time to adjust. So that when you feel like you're all right to come up and sit up tall again, be mindful. Get comfortable in how you're sitting. You need to grab a blanket or a bolster to sit on. See if you can let your eyes close once you get up to sitting, if they open on your way up. Take your time though, to either stretch your legs out or cross them or sit some other way so you're comfortable. Keep your hips. Once you're seated, let yourself feel like the top of the head is just floating up towards the ceiling. And watch your breath. Again, coming in and going out. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to the floor in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you